Alright, what is going on, everybody? My name is Blitzwinger, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new /lore video for LEGO Marvel Avengers. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Today we'll be discussing the one and only, the leader of the Masters of Evil, a part of the Masters of Evil DLC pack, which of course included Baron Zemo himself, the one that we're going to be discussing today, and several other really cool characters, which I just scrolled through right there. So with that in mind, the focus for today is of course Baron Zemo, and let's get rocking rolling, shall we here? Looks like there might be a little crime that we might be able to stop here, and this is pretty appropriate actually for Baron Zemo, because he is a character that has actually gone from being a hero to then from being a villain to then becoming a hero at one point, when he organized the Thunderbolts and everything like that. That was, for the most part, a heroic organization. And then, of course, things went south very much so again, and he became a villainous character again. Now, when I say that, I, of course, mention the second version of Baron Zemo, which would be Helmut Zemo, or Helmut, or maybe it's Helmut Zemo, because there's actually two versions. There's Heinrich Zemo, who was actually a scientist for the Nazi army, and he was working on a device called Adhesive X, which is why the Adhesive X is actually a part of the level pack for this game, which is really cool. Like, I love when they brought that together, because it just felt like you were reading like one of those classic stories. So with that in mind, essentially, that was a material that was supposed to be such a strong glue, or such a strong adhesive, if you would want to call it. Basically a type of glue that was just unable to be separated. So like, you could not remove it once it was on you, and the whole concept behind it was to weaponize it so that the Nazi army could use it in order to immobilize the enemy armies, the Allied forces. They would use this glue on them, and that's it. You're stuck, you can't move, you can't fight, and therefore you would lose. So during that process, as he was creating this, he was already Baron Zemo, and he was actually stopped by Captain America. Now, the interesting thing was that as he was working on this adhesive and such, Captain America actually uses his shield, and it deflects and ends up splashing onto Heinrich Zemo, and basically his mask becomes bound onto his face, and because of the adhesive, of course. So hey, you made it work, but he was stopped by Captain America, and that kind of explains as to why, like, Baron Zemo has this goofy kind of helmet / mask thing going on at most times. And it will also explain that with his son, Helmut, or Helmut. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's like Helmut, I think is how it's spelled. I'm pretty sure, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure that's how it's spelled, but I apologize if I messed that up. But essentially, he becomes, he takes up the mantle of Baron Zemo after his father passes away and everything, and after, which was also during, like, from what I recall, during an accident with Captain America and everything, where he gets pinned down under a whole bunch of rocks and such. So basically, it's a giant stone fall that gets him, I guess, if you would call it that. Stonefall? Is that even a word? I don't think so. But essentially, Helmut takes up the role of Baron Zemo after he realizes that Captain America is back, and he's like irate about this whole thing, because in his mind, like, clearly, like, you caused the misfortunes with my father. So it's very much kind of like a revenge story in that aspect. And he also does end up actually getting covered in a material as well during a fight with Captain America, and for him, actually, instead of having like the cloth-like mask being pinned down to him, he gets like a wax-like finish on his face. So essentially, a very similar story for both him, like father, like son. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, so to speak, and they both kind of suffer a similar fate as a bad guy, which is pretty interesting. I always thought that was kind of intriguing, that like, he takes up the mantle of Baron Zemo and has practically the same fortune or misfortune, I guess, as his father does. And that's definitely pretty cool. Now, of course, he goes on to assemble the Masters of Evil, which is why this DLC pack is called the Masters of Evil, and he utilizes them in a villainous kind of way. Then after that, he also becomes the leader of the Thunderbolts. I believe he's going to be playing a factor in the Captain America Civil War film, and overall, he's a pretty, like, big villain. He was probably the one big villain that we haven't, like, really seen yet in the Marvel Cinematic Universe up until this point. I would imagine, like, you know, you think of like Ultron, you think of Thanos, you think of Loki, you think of Baron Zemo. He's definitely up there. The Red Skull is definitely another big one, but we've seen most of the other big ones. And of course, there's lots of other ones from the X-Men universe and from the Spider-Man universe, but those are off limits to Marvel. At least some of them are at this point in time. So let's just say within the sandbox that they're allowed to play with, he's definitely one of those big characters that is quite a major, like, Avengers villain, especially in a lot of classic stories, but hasn't been really done up on the screen. I have to say, I really, really like the look of the character. I think there's just something really cool about the over-the-top, grandiose design that he has. It's so bright and so, like, arrogant. It's this, like, pink and purple and yellow outfit, but at the same time, like, I love his overall, like, outfit. He's got, like, little belt buckles and everything, kind of almost resembling Deadpool in some ways with all the belt buckle designs and such, but then he's got also, of course, his handy little gun right here, which has a pretty cool little pointer, and it's a very unique pistol overall, so I do like that quite a bit, that it's a unique looking weapon. And then for close combat, as you can see, he's got this really cool broadsword where he's ready, I don't know what I'm saying, to slay down anybody that steps up and tries to challenge him, or the Masters of Evil, or the Thunderbolts. So, other than that, he does have a couple of other cool moves, like the spinning slice right here as well. So if you are surrounded by enemies, you can go ahead and take out multiple targets at once, which is actually really, really handy. So I definitely do like that quite a bit. And overall, he's a pretty cool character. He has acrobatic abilities. He also has super strength, which is awesome. And overall, pretty cool character to see in the game. I was very, very pleasantly surprised that he was here, and I'm glad that it's this classic design for Baron Zemo. With that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Let me know what you think of the one and only Baron Zemo. Do you like him? Do you not like him? Do you think he's a little bit too obnoxious looking in terms of just the outfit being so colorful and bright and in your face? Would you have preferred something a little bit more toned down? Because I think that's what we're going to get in Civil War, is a much more, like, he's not going to be wearing his mask, from what I remember. They did confirm that. So it's not going to be like this Baron Zemo, but it's going to be a character that goes by the name of Baron Zemo. Just like Ulysses Claw didn't have like the claw hand or the mask or everything like that, not radio hand, but like the radioactive, it's not radioactive. What am I saying? Like the frequency hand. I'm not sure what it's called, but basically what I'm trying to say is that it's obviously going to be adapted for the films and going to be different than what we would expect from the comics. But do you like the character? Do you not like the character? And with that in mind, let me know, which other characters would you like to see showcased? I know that this is a character that several people have asked for, so would this be one that you would like to see an actual showcase for? Maybe there's a couple of others, including this fella right here, another very big major actually villain that hasn't been showcased, so maybe he will be introduced at some point in time. As always, ladies and gentlemen, have an absolutely fantastic day. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, drop a like. Let's go ahead and aim for 1,000 likes, and I'll see you guys later, alligators. Bye-bye, everyone.